Hello, I am Akhtar Parvez from the Global Classroom of Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad campus. My topic today is academic misconduct in research and publications. In the backdrop of recent UGC draft regulations on plagiarism policy, which was notified on September 1 this year, the purpose of this lecture is to create an awareness among faculty, staff, students and academic community in general about various forms of academic misconduct and how we can avoid it. As per the Elsevier video which I will be showing you in the next few seconds, every year 1.2 million people begin their career in research, out of which only 35% stay for more than 5 years and only half of them complete their careers in research. So, let us watch this video first. I hope you found the video interesting. In my opinion, this video conveys that it is important to know the tools for finding relevant information and for sharpening your writing skills. And this is how you can accelerate your research career. That is what the video says. Now, the former President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, in his address at Osmania University, underlined the need for research and innovation. and you may be aware that research is gaining more and more importance in the country today. And one of the reasons for this is that ranking agencies consider quantum and quality of research and publications of any institution as an important parameter for arriving at a ranking. Now, in an interview in Forbes Asia, Nello Angelilli, who holds more than 30 years of experience in higher education and scientific research, said that the ranking agency measures the importance of research output by evaluating where and how often faculty of any academic institution publish in journals. Because of such reasons, some of the premier academic institutions in the country have started incentivizing faculty who publish in a scholarly journal. Despite this, our international ranking is sliding, and in the 2018 Times Higher Education ranking, no Indian institute or university figured in the top 200 list of academic institutions. Indian Institute of Science was the first Indian institution which ranked between 250 to 300, followed by IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur. Now, similarly, if we talk of universities, Aligarh Muslim University has been ranked between 601 to 800, followed by Banaras Hindu University, University of Delhi. However, in the Global MBA ranking 2017 of top 100 business schools, ISB Hyderabad was ranked 27, which is 2 notches higher than the 2016 ranking. Having said this, it is important to mention that China Europe International Business School stood at number 11. Probably these are the reasons for which the former president, while speaking at the Founders Day ceremony of the St. Stephen's College, Delhi, said that Indian academic institutions should take global ranking process seriously. Coming to the domestic scenario, as you may be aware that the UGC identified more than 36 or 37,000 journals in 2016 and 2017. You may also be aware that the research work published in these journals would be considered for the purpose of promotion and direct recruitment of university teachers and librarians. However, serious Indian researchers still prefer to publish in foreign journals because of various reasons which you all know. Because of the growing impact of technology and easy access to digital scholarly content, we witness steep rise in research output. At the same time, we frequently witness misconduct in research and publications the world over. Initially, Directory of Open Access Journals, popularly known as DOAJ, had about 10,000 titles in it, which reduced to only 1,000 or 1,500 due to various allegations of predatory or bogus publishers and journals. However, the number has again gone up to 10,000 after necessary checks and balances. Now, this graph shows the rise of open access journals vis-a-vis rise in bogus or predatory journals. With regard to the authors who publish in predatory journals, unfortunately, India accounts for about 35%, followed by Asia without India, which is about 26%. With regard to the country of publishers of predatory journals, India tops at 27%. Jeffrey Beals is an American librarian who coined the term predatory publishers. Every year he publishes a list of bogus or predatory journals and publishers. However, his list has received both praise for highlighting this problem and criticism for being unfair. On September 5, 2017, on the basis of data from Beals' list, the Hindu newspaper reported that there are 84 predatory or bogus journals in the UGC's list of journals, which was announced in June 2017. However, the question is how to identify predatory journals. So, Chris Prater, who is a product development coordinator for editorial service at American Journal Experts, suggested the following ways to identify bogus journals. The journal is not indexed anywhere. Number 2, the editorial board is either very small or it would reflect as coming soon. A single publisher releases a large number of new journals at one go. The frequency may be doubtful. National or international affiliation does not match with its editorial board or location. Fundamental errors in the titles and abstracts, and unrealistic time frame for peer review and final publication. Now, coming back to the issue of academic misconduct, the most common form of misconduct in academic writing is plagiarism. So, let us find out what plagiarism is. The act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person will amount to plagiarism. To steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, use another's production without crediting the source will amount to plagiarism. Plagiarism is like committing literary theft. So, plagiarism is cheating and academic dishonesty. Plagiarism is one of the most common types of publication misconduct, where an author deliberately uses another's work without permission, credit or acknowledgement. Plagiarism takes different forms, from literal copying to paraphrasing someone else's work. There are a few websites which say that they will write assignments or papers on your behalf, and also guarantee that such content will be free from plagiarism. However, we should not get into this trap, as it may not only promote academic dishonesty, but also ruin our career. Now, plagiarism can happen even accidentally. So, the students will have to be very careful while writing. Whether you are taking the text as it is from any source or even rephrasing the text, do not forget to cite the original source. Drawings, statistics, music can also be plagiarized. However, some ideas, information are common knowledge, and such knowledge does not need to be cited. Now, for example, rain falls from cloud, sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Nehru was the first Prime Minister of India. This all is common knowledge, which does not require citation or referencing. For our students, I am giving few examples which may amount to plagiarizing. If you fail to cite the source from where the information has been taken, number one. Number two, if you are caught reusing the paper in another class. Number three, if you buy or borrow a paper from your senior for using the same in your class. Then rephrasing existing text and present it as your own text. Stealing ideas of your friend to publish something in a magazine, journal or anywhere else, or asking someone else to write for you. All these things will amount to plagiarism. To sensitize our students and the academic community in general, I would like to tell them about few cases of plagiarism that have happened in the recent past. Last year, Springer withdrew an article by 3 Indian scientists on charges of plagiarism, and that too after 14 years of its publication. In 2013, 3 Rajasthan University teachers faced serious allegation of plagiarism. Also, MDI Gurgaon professor was suspended on the charges of plagiarism. Then one of the IISER's director was accused of plagiarism. JNU professor was sought an explanation on allegations of plagiarism. Former Vice Chancellor of Delhi University was also accused of having plagiarized. Director of a prominent IIM was asked by the central government to respond on accusation of plagiarism against him. In April this year, the civil court in Bangalore stalled the sale of One Indian Girl, a novel by Chetan Bhagat, on the charges of plagiarism. Lastly, Pondicherry University Vice Chancellor was sacked for allegations of plagiarism. However, let me clarify that these were allegations or accusations, and I am not sure if any of them were actually guilty of plagiarism. Faculty and journal editors have several ways of detecting plagiarism. Now, because of the technology, detection of plagiarism is quite easy. One of the ways is to run through the document in any plagiarism checker application like Turnitin, Authenticate, Urkund or any other such softwares. Recently, UGC has recommended some institutional mechanism to eliminate the scope of plagiarism in higher education systems in the country. You may refer to the draft regulations issued on September 1, 2017 on the UGC's website for more details. The UGC has taken the issue of plagiarism very seriously and has suggested that zero tolerance policy should be adopted with regard to the core research areas. Now, what are those core research areas? These include abstract, summary, hypothesis, observations, results, conclusions and recommendations. However, it has suggested the following similarity exclusions. All quoted work either falling under public domain or reproduced with all necessary permissions and attribution, all references, bibliography, table of contents, preface and acknowledgements, all small similarities of minor nature and all generic terms, laws, standard symbols and standards equations. These guidelines of the UGC suggest that if a student is caught plagiarizing, his registration may be cancelled. And in case a faculty staff is found to have plagiarized, he or she may even be dismissed from services of the organization. Now, since the punishment is severe and because of the fact that plagiarism promotes unethical behavior in writing, let us discuss the issue of academic misconduct in detail. As per the Elsevier's document on ethics in research and publications, the following are considered as unethical practices. One, of course, the plagiarism, then second is authorship misconduct, simultaneous submission, research fraud and undisclosed conflict of interest. However, I will limit my discussion to the issue of plagiarism, which is one of the most common forms of academic misconduct, as I had told earlier also. Plagiarism could take the following forms: literal copying, substantial copying, paraphrasing and text recycling. Now, what is literal copying? Literal copying means reproducing a work word for word in whole or in part without permission and acknowledgement of the original source is literal copying. Now, literal copying is acceptable if you reference the source and put quotation marks around the copied text. So, what you should do to avoid such thing? One is, of course, you must keep track of sources you use while researching and where you use it in your paper. Make sure you fully acknowledge and properly cite the original source in your paper and use quotation marks around word for word text and reference it properly. Now, let us come to substantial copying. So, substantial copying can include research materials, processes, tables or equipment. Substantial can be defined as both quantity and quality of what was copied. So, what you should do? First of all, ascertain if your work has benefited from the skill and judgment of the original author. The degree to which you answer yes will indicate whether substantial copying has taken place, and be sure to cite the original source. Now, let us come to paraphrasing. Now, what is paraphrasing? Paraphrasing someone else's ideas while not copying word for word is called paraphrasing. So, what you should do? Understand what the original author means. Make sure you retain the intended meaning even if you change the words. So, it means that you have to read the original source very carefully, so that meaning is not changed when you write, and of course, you have to cite it properly. Lastly, the text recycling. Reproducing portions of an author's own work in a paper and resubmitting it for publication as an entirely new paper is called text recycling. This may also be called duplicate submission. So, I suggest that please put text in quotes that is taken directly from your previously published paper. Make sure to reference the source accordingly. Now, with regard to misrepresenting a scientific relationship to their work, ghost authorship, gift and guest authorship, simultaneous submission, research fraud, conflict of interest, etc., I suggest that you refer to the Elsevier's document on research and publications, which I just referred to. So, I think it is important for our students to understand how we should avoid plagiarism. So, let us understand citation, references and bibliography. A citation or in-text citation is when one paper refers to another paper. Complete detail of a paper cited in the text is called reference. Now, the bibliography means the list of the books, other reading material read or consulted while writing a scholarly piece. Now, if you see this on the screen, this is citation. This is another citation where I have written author's last name and the year. This is the complete reference for the first citation, and this is the second reference for the second citation, which you see by one author called Scoopsy. You see a difference between rendering the first source and the second source, because first source was taken from a document, the print document, and the second source was taken from the website. Now, this is an example of a text which I have taken, and let us see how do I cite it and how do I make a proper reference. Maulana Azad said that today if an angel were to descend from heaven and declare from the top of Qutub Minar that India will get Swaraj within 24 hours, provided she relinquishes Hindu Muslim unity, I will relinquish Swaraj rather than give up Hindu Muslim unity. Delay in attainment of Swaraj will be loss to India, but if our unity is lost, it will be loss for the entire mankind. This is what Maulana Azad said, and this is how I give this citation, and this is how I give the complete reference. Now, this is the second example where there is no change in the text, but this text I took from internet, from a document. So, you see this is the citation and this is the complete reference which you see on the screen. There are many ways of citing resources. The citation style sometimes depends on academic discipline involved. For example, APA is used for education, psychology and sciences, whereas MLA, that is Modern Language Associations style, is used by the humanities, IEEE is used for scientific papers and so on. Other referencing styles include Oxford, Harvard, Chicago, etc. And journal publishers follow different styles. And the problem is, how do we remember so many styles when we write a paper? So, the answer is that one should use technology to stay ahead. The researcher will be able to focus on research if he or she assigns such tasks to technology driven systems. Hence, you may use the reference applications available in MS Office Word. However, I would advise you to rather use a more sophisticated systems. Though there are various reference organizers available like Mendeley, EndNote, Zotero, etc., I would suggest that you use Mendeley because I find it quite useful and user friendly. The website of Mendeley is www.mendeley.com, mendeley.com. You can go to Mendeley's website and download the desktop version of the software, and the installation is free. It is quite simple and quick. It has citation styles for thousands of journals. It can synchronize your desktop and internet version. It also provides you MS Office Word plugin. It also provides you browser plugin. Now, what is browser plugin? Browser plugin is when you directly save a document from any internet browser to your Mendeley desktop. There are a lot of groups available, you can collaborate with them, and the best part is that you can import from existing software to Mendeley. So, what all you can do with Mendeley is that you can organize your PDFs, you can sort it quite easily, you can add papers from anywhere, you can drag and drop papers to your dashboard, etc. So, this was all about my today's presentation. But before I conclude today's discussion, I would request you to create ORCID and Vidwan IDs, which would provide a unique identity for you as a researcher. Vidwan is promoted by InflibNet, and for ORCID you can go to orcid.org website and create your details as a researcher, and I am sure it is going to help you in the long run, because sometimes what happens that databases like Web of Science or Scoopers, they treat you as different authors, but if you have ORCID ID, your identity they will not lose and you will be recognized internationally. So, thank you very much for listening to me, and for more details you can write to me at akhtaronline AKHTAR online @gmail.com, or at my university's email ID, that is akhtar AKHTAR .parvez PARVEZ 1 @manu.ac.in. So, in the next program we would hopefully discuss Mendeley and Urkund, which is a plagiarism checker, in detail. Till then, goodbye and thank you.